Oh, I
Oh
wanted
no.
to get that. Yeah, I wanted to get a certain clip.
Oh, you messed up.
Yep,
I
that's
already
just
started the show.
you started it. So now it's like we need to like figure out what we were gonna do. And you know what? I got it.
Was it the Russell Wilson clip?
It was, yeah. It was.
Oh.
But now, honestly, we could just sit here in silence and
Ooh, the longest cold open ever.
ooh, you know what? Listen, was it the sixth longest hockey game last night that I stayed up for until like 2 o'clock in the morning? And it
That
was
was only
12
the
seconds.
sixth longest?
Yeah, it was great because five of them have gone into five OTs. I have
Dang.
to tell you, like as someone who really hasn't watched hockey, this playoffs have been so much fun. And I was like, let me just watch. I got back late last night, and it was like the first overtime. I was like, yeah, let me just sit here and enjoy this. And then we went an entire game more. So oh baby, we here.
We steer.
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna, and this is a G, a P, S. Oh, they fixed the super chats. I'm so happy you can actually see them again. There we
Oh,
go.
look at
There we
that.
go. Buzz, buzz, baby. Buzz, buzz.
But
Let's
did you
go.
see that they also keep them all in that starred section
Card
now?
thing. Yeah. So
That's
it's
an
like in case
upgrade.
yeah, that's pretty good. Let's just to make sure. Just to make sure. Ice Kitties did go meow. That game was wild. Was wild. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And look at you. The Nuggets 2-0 now. 2-0.
I was too busy talking crap to the Lakers to watch.
I saw that. You were
hockey.
going after the Lakers, and I was like, I didn't know Brandon was that much of a fan.
I like the playoffs. I like the playoffs for
I got
hockey
you.
or basketball. Last time this year, I was watching all the Avalanche games. This year, it's been Nuggets. I would watch more Nuggets, but again, I've got the cable company that doesn't broadcast their games because they're in a dispute,
That's
and I'm not going to go out of my way. But yeah, it was fun. We had fun talking shit to the Lakers because, and like, I don't even hate the Lakers so much. I hated them when they had Kobe and the Nuggets got worked by them in the playoffs years and years ago. And when I lived in LA, but that's when I realized like LA is really a Lakers town. And I like LeBron James. Like, I really like LeBron. But the way the Nuggets have been treated by the national media was just annoying. Like, if you watched game one, okay, the Nuggets outplayed the Lakers for 3 quarters. They had like a 10, 16 point lead, 20 point, like they're just working them. Then they had a bad fourth quarter. Lakers get back into the game. Nuggets still win. But everybody's like, oh, the Lakers figured something out in that fourth quarter. Oh, Nuggets are in trouble. Felt like a loss for the Nuggets, even though they won that game. I'm like, what are you talking about? This has been the best team in the Western Conference all season long. They have the guy who should have won MVP for the 3rd straight year in a row, and they beat the Lakers efficiently. They outplayed them 3 quarters in one game. So leading up to this one, it was all this like Lakers figured it out. It's all about the Lakers, and I get it. That's just how NBA coverage works, right? And then you had a reporter, I won't even name, I don't want to throw the names under the bus, say, just really watched Jokic for the first time, who works at ESPN. Said that day of on the Rich Eisen show, so that added some fuel to the fire. So it was just fun for the Nuggets to play a really close game. They don't play well for 3 quarters, Tom. The Nuggets kind of got outplayed, and then they had the fourth quarter, and won the game. So, yeah. I also realized I've got a lot of built up tension and animosity for not being able to talk trash as a football fan. And now that the Nuggets are winning, it's coming out.
Because you haven't been able to really express that.
Yeah.
Well,
I've just been
Brandon,
having to be submissive, and I don't like that.
listen, buddy, I hear you. But you remember that one time you made a joke about me? That one time? Well, see, I've been a little busy.
Specific, Tom.
Yeah, I've been a little busy as of late. You might be like, oh, putting out videos? Sure. Oh, planning for 30 and 30, which is like in 10 days? Sure. But no, I have officially infiltrated the NFL.
Whoa.
Because Brandon talking all that crap, just saying all the mean things to me. So do you know what I'm going to do now, Brandon? I am going to destroy your favorite football team from within, and I have already become best friends with Russell Wilson.
There's some amazing guys on that staff. Coach Grossi, guy who puts all this time in.
You wish. You wish so hard.
There's some amazing guys on that staff. Coach Grossi, guy who puts all this time in.
Put all my time in. I'm putting all my time into
my rebuttal, Tom?
Fuck Tom.
Yeah, fuck Tom.
Fuck Tom.
There's some amazing guys on that staff. Coach Grossi, guy who puts all this time in.
No.
The Roys might not appreciate me, but Russell's got me. Russell's got my back. And you know who's got Russell's back? Jesus. So that means through the distributive property, Jesus got my back.
If Jesus really had Russ's back, why'd he let him get embarrassed on Christmas?
I mean,
was that a lesson? Was he teaching him a lesson? Was he learning
his
something?
Dad kind of like, put the whole, he made him. So
was he learning something? Shout out to Johnny Barks for finding that clip, which he must have found working on my 2 Russell Wilson videos coming out next week. Maybe.
Oh, you got 2 Russell Wilson videos?
Yeah, because I'm going to be out of town.
Yeah.
I had to get ahead. But I've got why Russell Wilson is not washed and why Russell Wilson is washed. So
Gotta play both sides. Come out either way, baby. Let's go.
It's more about how, it's actually 2 things. One is, as a Broncos fan, I believe both. I literally believe he can still be good, and I literally believe he could have peaked and is on the decline, because there's just watching last year was confusing. There's times he looked like, oh, that guy can do it, and then there are other times like this man cannot play quarterback anymore because it's that bad. But also to illustrate how you can make any point you want in sports. You can make any point you want. You can find enough evidence, and you can present your case and argue it. So we'll see. Who's Lamy? Who's Lamy?
You would know if you watch the lore, but
not watching the lore.
Yeah, well, you will one day. You will one day.
You say that like it is a punishment.
Yeah,
oh, you shall watch it.
Honestly, I'm gonna put you in my will that you're gonna get $50,000 for Carmi's college education, but you have to stream and watch all the lore.
How do you feel about not going to college, Carmi?
Hey, trade schools. You know what? Hey, your dad knows his way around a car. Mechanic. Good money.
He knows his way around everything. He does.
Oh, he's a handyman?
He makes handyman look like little punk-ass punks. Handymen look up to my dad.
Oh.
And then they cower in his abilities.
Oh.
So.
Can he do electrical work?
Yeah.
Plumbing?
Oh, yeah.
Plumbing? Okay. What about roof replacement?
Well, he's actually going to have his roof replaced from some hail damage.
But he could do it.
Yeah, I'm sure he could. I've never seen him replace a roof. Seen him build the deck multiple times. Seen him build ceilings.
Oh. I'm honestly,
Extensions on the home.
it's not that difficult.
A lot of that stuff isn't super difficult. It's just
Replacing the
knowing how
roof.
to do it.
Yeah, you
It's
just gotta-
mostly like just being patient and doing it correctly. That's the part I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like that either. That's
You cut
that.
something a little wrong and you got to recut it. I'm like, nah, this piece of
No.
wood's going in right here.
Measure twice, cut once. Nah, I don't
Not
even know if
for
I'm gonna
me.
measure once. I'm just gonna eye it and go, all right, this looks all right. We're good, and we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, we do actually, kind of.
And we're gonna talk about the NFL officials because, oh baby, if you thought they were bad before, there may be a storm coming, and it might not be good. Brandon Perna, you want to break this story down?
Yes, I would like to break it down, Tom. Because, and this is something I usually don't say. I'm not patient with editing. I told Johnny once, the faster I got at editing, the worse I got. Because Johnny said, I'm trying to be as fast as you. And I was like, don't, man. You cut corners, people notice. After watching much of the NBA playoffs, I got a little more respect for NFL officials and how the game's officiated. There are bad calls, right? And that's part of the game.
Sure.
You accept that, hey, there's going to be some bad calls. I think it's not necessarily about the officiating so much as it is some of the rules we don't like in the NFL. And officials do get a little, I think, confused about rule emphasis. And then there's this like lack of consistency where some crews do try to emphasize those rules. Other crews are more lax. And then the Super Bowl ended on had that ticky-tacky call. And I have my issues with it. But compared to NBA officiating, where you can see it just take over a game, I feel a little better about NFL officiating heading into this season. Talk to me week 3. We'll see where I'm at then. Here's the problem, though. There's 12 officials gone from the NFL, which is, does that sound like a lot, Tom?
Yes.
It is. It is the second time. It is the most officials that have left since 2013. And this is the second time in league history that they've had back-to-back seasons where double-digit numbers of officials have exited the league.
Now, are they leaving because like they're retiring, or they're just,
some of them retired? The 2 that just left did not want to leave, apparently, and they've kind of been forced out by the NFL, which I don't know how you don't meet the NFL standards for officiating. It's just like do whatever the NFL wants, and you get it. So but like the other issue here, right, is NFL officials. It's not their full-time job. They've got other careers and other things, and now there's these spring leagues. Because in one of the articles I was reading about it, it talked about how the NFL has like this dark period with officials where they don't do anything for like 3 or 4 months, not even talking to the league, that sort of thing. But they've got these spring leagues, and that would be a great way for officials to keep sharpening their skills, keep honing what they do.
Yeah. Right off the bat, like that could
it should be full time. We all want that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think so. That you want those people to be like, hey, don't focus on anything else. Like, this is what you got to do. And that's it. But that could be the developmental part, right? Of like those spring leagues. Like we're talking about players, and like some players, they make their way from the XFL or USFL back to the NFL and whatever. But that also could be like where you're going to grab referees from. So
yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that the NFL has waited, or it just hasn't like invested in this part of their product.
Was a thing back in the day.
Yeah. And officials are like old. Like a lot of them were retiring because they're getting so old. They're just so damn old, Tom.
Are they old, Brent?
They're so damn old. But can you imagine like being like, I don't know, like 55 and you do NFL officiating, which you have to be in very good, you have to be in decent shape to do, depending on what job you have as an official. If you're like a sideline judge, you ain't gotta, you'd be out of shape. And then you also have like your regular job you got to attend to. Like, I know it's only 1 day a week during the season, but it seems like you could be having officials do things multiple days throughout that week to be better at officiating, to be better at making calls in real time, and to also work on streamlining, their other processes of the reviews. Like they should be practicing like the players, Tom.
Well, I think the problem is because Aaron Rodgers brought this up when he went on McAfee one of the times and was saying one of the issues is that you're going to have all these TV networks. Well, not that they already have all these TV networks are offering officials more money to come and work for the TV networks than to be officials because they're getting paid more than their ref salaries. So they're like, yeah, no, just come be like an analyst and you can sit here on Fox and chat about it then. So it's like pulling people away and it's creating this little ecosystem, which is not a good thing because you're not going to get the most talented officials who are the best at their job if you're not going to pay them as such.
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot can go wrong.
Well, they have Dean Blandino in the XFL, and he is like the official reviewing like all of the plays in real time. So I wonder what he gets paid. It says here, NFL does not release salary figures for referees, but according to Sporting News, the highest paid ref makes $250,000 annually.
So that's like the
on
head
average. They make about $205,000 per year.
So then they shouldn't have to work anymore. Come on, man. You're making.
I guess they shouldn't have to.
Yeah, you're making $205,000 a year. I was making $68K as a teacher. Come on now. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Throw that argument out the window. We gotta go get another job. You're making $200,000. You are making like 5 times the amount of what average Americans make. Never mind. I don't feel bad anymore.
No, 205. I think they should be paid like at least $250, and I think it should be a full-time job. I think they should not be allowed to work other jobs they can have their, I don't know, side hustles or whatever the hell they want to do, but like full-time, got to do it. And when they're not like, because there'd be, some periods where there's just nothing to do. Even if they're training a little bit, with the XFL or USFL, they have to be in the gym. I want every referee to be yoked. I want guns, and I want tighter shirts on officials.
Did you just say guns?
And I want an annual NFL official shirtless calendar that the NFL sells for charity every year. One thing the NFL could use hotter referees, and I've said that for a while.
I'm just letting you go, so just continue.
Speedos.
Going.
Striped shirts tucked into Speedos. That's how I want my officials officiating football.
Yep. Okay, so I'm reading the thing. The average referee outside the NFL makes $46,000. Why does the NFL pay so much? That makes sense. Okay. Here are the requirements. I'm on the site now. Here are the requirements. Are you on the same thing of how to be an NFL referee?
Requirement 1, vision must be less than 20/20. Next.
Okay, no specific education requirements. They have at least a bachelor's degree in any major.
Gotta be dumb. Okay.
Experience.
Stupid. You gotta be stupid.
The NFL requires at least 10 years of officiating in football games. Of those 10, at least 5 should include major college games. If you want to become an NFL referee, you might want to begin by gaining experience in lower levels. So 10 years of experience, at least 5 years for like significant college games.
Yeah.
So that seems...
You gotta put in your time to get there.
Yeah.
I think it's once they get there, the NFL doesn't feel, and maybe they do, but it doesn't feel like they do anything to make sure that they have the best officials on earth. And they should.
I agree with that. No, I definitely agree with that. So in that case, do you think that's where like the feeder program can become? Because if there's not just college games anymore, you can do it through the developmental leagues and see like, hey, maybe this is where we could start pulling some of our talent from.
Yeah. And I'm sure it does happen that way as well. But to me, it just like I want every official officiating during the spring. I think it just benefits them to get more time doing it. So they got to replace 12 officials, right? So that's 12 guys out, 12 new guys in. And that's just a lot. So in 2 years, too, it's over 20 new officials. And I don't know.
Just shocked. Just shocked.
It might be an issue this coming season is what we're trying to say.
I got you. So now they basically have to replace 12 guys.
Yeah, after replacing at least 10 last year. So is that better? If they get younger, maybe ultimately that's a good thing.
Yeah, being younger wouldn't be a bad start. I mean, again, you just want the best people, right? It doesn't matter. So
yeah, you got to be a bit of a sadist though to want to be an official, right?
I gotta be honest, dude. Like to make $200,000 a year,
to be one of the most hated people on earth, usually every Sunday.
Yeah, but for $200,000 a year, I mean, like you're working seasonally. You're working like actually work. I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's training and there's stuff.
No, the actual job sounds fun, but what comes with it, nobody likes officials.
No,
I don't even think their own family likes them.
Do you think that's how they practice? Right?
They go home and their wives and kids just boo them, or husband in kids now.
It's true.
Whew.
That saved it.
Boo!
They come home, right? Husband is making dinner.
It's
overcook the turkey. Flag on the play.
Yeah. Go to your room. Boo, Dad! Boo! That's not a home team call. Boo. Can we review this, Dad? I was not smoking weed in my bedroom, and here's the video evidence.
Ooh.
Overturned. You're going to rehab for weed.
See, you also you also could screw over your parents. Like if you really want to get back at them, what you can start to do is start gambling on the games in which your parents are officiating. Oh, that will cause such a controversy. Bye-bye, Dad. Bye-bye, Mom. Sorry, you liked your NFL referee job? No. And that's why you don't raise vindictive children.
Yeah. I can't remember if I cut the joke or not, but I said I was going to create a sports betting app that's just for players to bet on their own games. Now we can add officials to it. It's the dark web sports betting app for players and officials.
Calvin Ridley's name is still just Calvin Ridley. He doesn't even make a different username. And it's damn it, Calvin. No, you're supposed to put a little bit of
no, it just automatically cryptifies their usernames.
It's Ralvin Kidley. That's how it does it. It just switches the first names.
It just flops the top letters.
I mean, I got to be honest. If you don't have to get a specific education, so you could just go get, sports medicine or something like that, and then just get into the system. I mean, that's not a bad career path. $200,000 a year. I didn't know they were making that much. That's pretty good.
Made more.
Well, let me put it this way, dude. They're making around the same amount as a practice squad player, because practice squad guys are getting about $200,000 a year.
Yeah, and they're doing about the same amount of work.
Oh man, I'd love to talk to Ben Kurt about that.
Yeah.
Where's Ben Kurt? Kurt! You didn't hear me.
That's right, Cryptify. You come here for made up words. You know it. You know that's part of the reason you come here.
It's one of the reasons. It's one of. Okay, so yeah, that could be
early too.
What'd you say?
That's why they usually leave early too.
Oh, yeah. That's yeah, $200,000. I'm sorry to hear that, Ryu, but yeah, $200,000. Why not?
Yeah, what's that after taxes though?
Well, it depends on where you live.
Exactly. Yeah, how does that work? Because NFL players get paid differently based on which states they're playing on in that week. Do officiating crews, like, does their salary get affected if they're officiating in different states? Or is it like, that's an interesting question.
I don't think it'd be different states, no, because I think that it would just be depending on where their residency is. That's what their state tax is going to look like. And then federal is going to be the same everywhere. But the state tax is just going to be like if they live in Florida, they're not going to have to worry about paying. You know what I mean? So that's that. Again, I'm not an expert, but that's how I would. Yeah. Steezy confirmed me. So Tom Grossi. Expert. Got it. Crushed it. Also, in other news, Brandon Perna left me on Clickbait Sports yesterday.
Sorry.
He left me or not? Left me.
How was it? What did you guys talk about?
We talked about Pat McAfee, which I actually do want to get your take if you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, we talked about Pat McAfee, and then we set up Adam's dating profile.
Oh, that's right. Was that fun?
That was fun. Yeah. The second half was really good.
Yeah, I'm actually mad I missed that. Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty good. How's your basement, by the way? No longer flooded?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's dry now. Jess messaged me right before the show. If you have, let's see here. If you have anything to plug this morning on GPS, my basement flood vlog will be out today. That was Jess before the show.
It's just like a producer is just like, hey, we got a sponsor today. Yeah, it's my vlog. Okay,
it's my vlog.
All right. Yeah, thanks. All right, Jess Brain, new episode coming out today. Crushed it.
Yeah.
Crushed
so it. I've been waiting too because I have the Pokemon punishment for clickbait.
Pokey
What's that? Ooh, politicians.
Who has it worse? No. Hold on.
Who has it worse? Refs.
Politician.
No, yeah, refs.
Now you can just say things. You can just say outlandish things.
You want as a politician now.
Brandon, listen. All right, here's what I'll do. I'll move to Colorado for like a few years, but only if we run for an elected official position. It could be school board, could be mayor, could be governor, just because, like, why not? And we're not going to do anything. We're going to do a terrible job, but it's just to prove a point and make a YouTube video.
Our whole platform will be pro bow and arrow.
Ooh. Okay.
And we're not going to explain. We're just going to be like, we are pro bow and arrow.
That's it. Honestly, I would be so happy to be a municipal comptroller.
More for everyone. Pro bow and arrow.
More for everyone, just of everything. Mm-hmm. More diseases.
It's like what's important to you? More jail time for criminals? You got it. More money? You got it. More opportunity? You got it. More fairness? You got that too. More health? Yep. We do it all.
Okay, I'm sorry. How can you run on a position and go more health? More health. More.
Yeah, more health for you. Do you want less health, Tom? I don't think so. This whole country is about more. I just got us the best campaign. It's one word. It's simple. Everybody understands it. More. And we'll spell it with 2 O's because even that is just a little bit more, isn't it?
Can Johnny Barks edit our campaign videos?
Yeah. Can he? He has to.
Yes.
More bow and arrows. That's what I always say. And that's not even a reference to the Blue Arrow himself. Jamal Murray took over that fourth quarter of the Denver Nuggets victory.
Okay. All right. So it's more diseases.
More cures for diseases.
But there's also more diseases.
Nope. We never say more disease in our campaign.
But that's more. So what happens at the first press conference when we're running, which, by the way, apparently we're tag teaming, and just like a hand goes up and you're like, yes. And they're like, well, what about like more violence?
I've got more solutions to violence is what I have.
Can we hear one?
Yep. More police.
Okay. Can we hear
Ask
2?
Me a question.
Yeah, more climate change,
More
pollution.
support for our police. More support for our victims. More support for the average Joe trying to get by. If you have the one little premise, you can apply it to everything.
More interceptions for Russell Wilson.
More help for Russell Wilson. More offense for the Broncos.
I can't. But the problem is, like,
I will have more of less violence, actually. I will
what?
have a lot more less violence.
Ian, you haven't missed anything now. It's just more less violence.
Yep, more less violence in my state.
I feel like that's a thing now. Like, but Brandon could win off that. Listen, we've seen some of the people that are in office right now. Brandon could win. I mean, well, you're getting votes. You're definitely getting votes.
Oh, yeah. I would spend $0 and I would just do everything on YouTube. Would I go to one rally? Fuck no. Just put out YouTube videos every day talking about the shit I want to do.
You don't go to a single round. You're just like, boomers? Nope. Not
Who
even
wants
interested.
to go somewhere to listen to somebody talk about nothing? Oh, fuck. That's everybody watching this show today.
We are talking about absolutely nothing right now.
Uh-oh, we're screwed, Tom.
That's how we make a living,
I
Brandon.
just exposed us.
People come here and listen to us talk about nothing.
I just exposed us.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Oh
10 out
God.
of 10.
What
10
were,
out
we,
of 10.
what were we about to talk about?
Pat McAfee.
Oh, more Pat McAfee. That's
Well,
what you're getting.
guess what? Promises made, promises kept, because you're getting more Pat McAfee. That's it. No, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, because obviously there is a lot of backlash from a lot of Pat's supporters. Like, the subreddit is a nightmare right now. The YouTube, like, the dislikes are like super down. The comments are very negative. And then, like, there's some support. I don't want to frame this in one way, but I'm curious in terms of your take on it as another creator.
Yeah.
Do you see this as like a potential really good thing for like the industry, or are there more risks to it with him joining?
First of all, I think like if a similar opportunity happened for you or this show or any of us, the support would be very genuine and real, and people would be excited. I feel like, not necessarily like just go, like, I'm not saying like going to ESPN, but like, I feel like everybody who watches here unanimously like roots for us to do well. And I think Pat is on a different level, and the backlash is, to me, it's a little weird. But I get that it's because it's ESPN and they've had like their own like butting of heads in the past, which he kind of addressed. But I feel like I don't have an issue with it. I don't think it's going to change like the show too much, other than their language has to change some, right? Like, it was like, nothing's going to change, except we're already changing the fact that we can't say fuck as much anymore. So like, sure, we'll see what it looks like in a year or two. What annoys me is Pat pretending that he is paving the way and is like the rest of us. That's the part that's like,
Oh, interesting.
that's not true. It's not true at all.
Can you hold on to that for a second?
Sure.
Because I want to address something that you said. So I think it goes beyond it being an ESPN problem. I think it's an ESPN problem, like specifically, like, let's just say, for example, like it was Fox, right? If Fox was like, hey, listen, you're going to be on every day, like our whatever. I think it would be received better. There will still be like the sellout, like there will still be like those kind of comments. But I think it's because it's ESPN, who they, like you said, they've had problems with before in the past. ESPN has been declining. And on top of that, and more importantly, I would argue, they're owned by Disney. And I think that for a section of his fan base, Disney is not their friend, right? Disney has become like the thing that they don't like. And if you've built a show and a product based off of the premise of being independent, free form, uncensored, can talk about whatever you want, can say whatever you want, can do all these things. Disney kind of represents the complete opposite of that. And that's why I think that there is that, oh crap, before we've even seen a single show of the new Pat McAfee show, which is not changing, but according to him. You know what I mean? Like, but that's I think the concern already. And then there's like the additional context. Sorry, continue.
No, yeah, I think that's a good point. But they'll be able to use like Little Mermaid footage. That'd be tight. If I were Pat, I would be like, I want footage of the Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King once in every episode. If you can't make that happen for me, Disney, I ain't taking this deal.
Okay.
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 The thing I was about to say though is like, because he said that, right? He's like, I'm hoping we are the leader in changing the sports media landscape. I'm pretty sure Barstool already did that for everybody. Also,
okay,
Pat went to Barstool right after he retired early, right? I think that's kind of what gets lost a little bit in his success story is he went over to Barstool Sports. He learned kind of the game and he left smartly because he thought he could do it better on his own.
Sure.
But he was gifted like an immediate influx of very loyal sports consuming fans from that. Like he had like a kickstart on YouTube instantly because of his time with Barstool. And so I think it's just a little funny that they're taking on this role of like they changed it all and they're trying to change it for everyone. When in fact, like anytime Pat's interacted with any other sports creator, it hasn't been good. Hasn't been nice right away. I don't recall him embracing other creators and trying to uplift other people based on his show. You know what I mean? So I think like that part of it to me feels a little bit fake. But that's like, I think we all saw what he was doing and we were all rooting for him and his show because if his show does do well, it gives like the rest of us trying to do whatever in the sports space, a little bit of like the light in terms of, yeah, it can be done. It can be done on a big level, but it wasn't just him doing that show either. That's also what's different for Pat. Like he's got a whole team of people helping him build and do a really good show every day. You and I got Johnny Barks and Will Keys on it. You know what I mean? Like two guys who work their ass off to help us. And like, that's how we grow. And it's very individually driven. And don't get me wrong, Pat's personality carries it. It's what people are attracted to. And I get that, but it's a show. It's just built a little bit differently. So, all right, I'm glad that we got into this conversation because like, I think that this is a really interesting one because I want to be very clear too. And I've said this on every platform I possibly can. I respect what they have built because like that's hard as hell to do. Like they talk about like the box trucks, and listen, sure, did he play in the NFL? But he had to earn the NFL spot, right? And then he was able to get him show, earned all of that stuff. Don't take it away. And I have no problem even with him making money. Like go get money. Like he walked away from the FanDuel deal where he was making a ton of money. Now he's going to get likely even more. His face is going to be all over the TV. Like he's going to have more reach than he's ever had before, right? Here is where, and this is just a me personally thing. I mentioned this yesterday that it just doesn't seem genuine. It's a little disingenuous to start attacking and or saying you're not real fans if you're upset about this move. Because I think that there are some logistical concerns because you can't say the show's not changing and then talk about, well, we can't say the F word as much. Also, it's going into block. Also, there's going to be more commercials. Also, there are going to be shorter interviews, which again, these could all be positive things for the brand. And it could just be like a show that adapts and morphs into something even better. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I don't even care about that. My thing is, and this is where I'm kind of just disappointed, and maybe this is just my own delusion. I think we have gotten to a point where
going and being bought out by a mega corporation doesn't have to be the end goal to be successful. And I think that's where a little bit of my disappointment comes in, because with FanDuel, obviously things had to, get changed a little bit, because now you're beholden to like a mega company. It's like any sponsor, right? You're going to be beholden at least a little bit to it. But the fact that it was independent, they could talk about anything that they wanted. That is such an appeal, because it's not just like corporate talk. It's not just like the little like 5-minute interviews where not much is really said and people are just coming on to promote something. It's actual like dialogue. You're able to talk about whatever you want. And listen, sometimes they get in hot water for that and sometimes not. But at the end of the day, I think there's enough access, there is enough technology, there's enough whatever, that you don't have to go to an ESPN and still be insanely successful. You could do your own thing and kind of keep what makes you unique without, and still make a ton of money. Like the FanDuel deal is insane. Like that's a lot of money that they're walking away from. And I'm sure they're getting paid a lot more, but it's not like, oh, he's getting his bag. He got his bag. They were getting over $100 million. Like that's a lot of money. So I think it's a little disappointing to see like, oh, it feels like it's almost like a regression, because you were able to get this big and arguably become the biggest daily sports talk show on the planet, right? In terms of, at least in the country. And now it's like, well, we're going to kind of have to tweak some things and things are going to shift. And it's just going to look different. And again, it might not be bad, but it's just going to look different. And I feel like if you could do it independently and stay independent, which you have the ability to do, that's cool. But at the same time, it's his show. He could do whatever the hell he wants with it. He just had a baby, right? Like, I get it. Like, you want to go and make sure that you have that security, that you have that blanket, you want to build that legacy. I will never complain about that, and I will never bash anybody for doing that. But then present it as such.
Yeah. I think it's like, if you're a genuine fan of a show, you kind of just wait to judge it until you see like what you're judging.
Sure.
But most recently, and this is maybe a dumb comparison, but like I just found out that, so you had HBO and then it became HBO Max. And I just found out it's going to be rebranded as Max.
Yeah.
And I heard that and I like looked it up and I was like, and they'll have like the HBO like hub within there, right? But I was like, fuck, this sucks. Like,
yeah.
HBO's like, that's been my favorite network since probably like I was, 13 and was watching The Sopranos on there. And whatever else. And even when it merged to HBO Max and you had like all this new content coming in, you can kind of tell the difference between HBO produced shows and like the Max ones.
I saw that about the Linus Tech Tips. Yeah.
I mean, okay. So I get it. Like, I was like, oh man, this feels like an end of an era. And maybe there are people who feel that way because they were rolling with Pat from the beginning and it felt like this underdog sort of thing. And maybe for a while, like it kind of was. It definitely was for a while. But like, I remember reaching out to them. I don't know, when their channel had, like 300,000 or 400,000 subs. And maybe I had just like over 100 and I was like, hey, we should collab. And the producer answered my email. And then I think I pitched him just a bunch of horrible ideas on how we could collab and like never heard back. And then I followed it up with like, oh, I'm sorry, were those ideas bad? I've got more, like type of thing. Like, oh, fuck you, idiot. Like, so early on, like it was a thing and then it grew and evolved and it turned into something else. But like, I think they're trying to pitch it a certain way, right? And I think the one is his show gonna be streaming on the ESPN YouTube channel? Or
so I heard that it's on ESPN, that he's like ESPN, ESPN Plus, and then the ESPN's YouTube. And I think clips are still remaining on his channel.
So I don't know if it's on his channel, but I don't know if it's show.
I've heard two different things now, but I think
if it stays on his YouTube channel, I think that's the smartest thing for them.
100%.
If it's just on the ESPN channel, even if it's just live, that seems like a mistake by ESPN. Because just like own that channel and like put your branding there. But what I was gonna say is like, I just have a little bit of an issue with them pitching like they're changing it for everyone. And it's been a process where lots of different things have happened that have changed it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like something you say to try and encourage people to still be on your side as you go through this corporatization of your thing you've built. But
like you can't be that unaware that like you're gonna get backlash from this. And I think the longer that it's just ignored or just kind of seen as like, well, you're not a real fan when you do this. I mean, like, that's just, listen, if Pat went anywhere, if anything changed about a show, he was going to lose fans, right? Just because that's how people are, right? Something changed. They don't like it. They don't want to support it anymore. Have a nice day. This is a big change. It is a big change, regardless of what it is. It's a big change. And I think that there are better ways to transition to it and like also being as transparent as humanly possible with your audience. But again, it's not my show. So like, it doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, the biggest disappointment that I have, because what Pat McAfee does, to be very honest with you, does not impact me. It doesn't. Like, it's cool that like, it's like, oh, this is the height in which somebody can get. But now I'm looking at it going, well, no, because I don't want to go to ESPN. I don't want to like be on their show. Like, I don't need people telling me like, oh, this is your programming. Like, F that. Like, I just have zero interest in that. So that being said, now I go, okay, I was going to like, you use that model basically as like inspiration, right? And be like, oh, okay, like maybe you could do that if you want to like kind of go up that daily sports show ladder. But now I'm just like, well, no, like I'd rather just continue doing your own thing and have a nice day.
Yeah, it's very different too, because like we do a live show 3 days a week. We're talking about football. It's a little bit similar, but so much of our bread and butter is the other videos, the other content like we make and produce.
Oh yeah.
Yours like live streaming during games. That's a whole different beast. Like they do some live streams and maybe it would be more, I don't know, but like your reaction videos, like that's completely different than what they're doing. That's like where I see like a huge difference in terms of it is all sports related content, but it's all incredibly different. And they've had more success than I thought they would have by just doing a live show on YouTube.
Yeah.
But a big part of their jump too came when Aaron Rodgers started joining the show every week. Like they were doing well and they were growing, but that was like pouring some gasoline on, fire. They got one of the biggest athletes on earth to be on their show every single week.
Yep.
So that's why I'm happy to announce every single week Russell Wilson will be on this show.
I don't think you can say that. Oh no.
Oh,
is this the more part? Is this the more thing?
More Russell Wilson.
I think at the end of the day, like I'm truly just interested. I'm interested in seeing how this plays out, because as we just talked about, he's walked away from a few contracts, like in the middle of the contracts, and like now has signed a big deal with ESPN. I'm curious of what the language is. We're never going to see it, but like I'm curious what the language is if he wants out after a year, because what happens if you turn around and go like, yeah, I'm done. So that's fine. He could still own it, but it's being broadcasted on ESPN stuff. So it has to adhere to like FCC, like just in the bare minimum. And I mean, one of the problems with Sirius, because I remember this, they had an issue with Sirius, and then they're like, okay, well, we're just going to go straight to YouTube. And there was a whole thing where he wished he went to YouTube earlier, because on YouTube, if you can gain an audience, like it arguably is the best place to grow in a community, an audience, at least in my humble opinion, because you can interact with, etc. Like even the phone calls that he does, right? Because he takes fan calls, like viewer calls. Like that's a big part of the show that's been there for a really, really long time. So I don't know. It's interesting, and I'm just curious to see how it transpires.
It's I think it's been over criticized.
I agree too.
Like you, I probably have questions of how it will actually work on ESPN once it gets in there. But I think and this is like some nerd stuff. Like Bob Iger is running Disney again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing for Disney, for ESPN, because I think he's smart. And it's just one of the weird like CEOs I've read about in the past.
Mhm.
And like what he embraced like Marvel, like that was one of the big things like Disney did, and like that was him. So I think if you're looking at it optimistically, I think it's going in at the right time with the right person at the top, which
Sure.
should
Because
help
it's
the
temporary
show
for
come
him,
back.
because he's not looking to stay like for a ton of time. I think he signed like a shorter contract. Yeah.
So like, but once you're in a giant company, I worked for a company, Maker Studios, that was acquired by Disney back in the day, and it absorbed that and then dismantled it. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Packed Show, because he is licensing it, right? But it's going under their umbrella. So it is like, how is that going to actually look? And I think maybe it's like one of those things where if it works out in terms of his show continues to be a success, it feels and maintains its authenticity, then
Mhm.
it does help other people in the
Correct.
space whose next move could be joining companies like that. But I still don't think that really translates to people like us. To me, that's like
No.
people like the Kelsey brothers and their show.
Sure.
It's former NFL former athletes who create not fucking creators who start from nowhere with nothing, with no reason to have anybody follow them and
Sure.
build up fans. Like when ESPN's like calling you or texting Tree, like then I'll be like, shit's changed. If one of those networks calls Tree, then I'll be like,
That's
okay,
honestly,
stuff is actually changing, baby.
So, I
Stuff
agree.
is changing.
I agree.
We all know Scooter will be the first to get the actual call.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I mean. And maybe you feel differently. So like when you started this, right? When you started That's Good Sports,
Yeah.
was your goal like, I hope I get bought out by like an ESPN? And like I
No,
hope I like go work for
honestly,
ESPN.
The whole reason I started it is just because I was working for other YouTubers and they were having massive success on their own. And I was like, I want to do that. I was also like, I'm sick of listening to their bullshit notes about like making this show less funny.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get, that was really the big thing. It was a creative shift. I'm like, I'm sick of working on a show that I think we could make better. And every time I try to do an idea, it's just shit on. It's not accepted because, you know, it's their show and they have the right to do it. Also, when I was in LA, I flew and interviewed for Bleacher Report in 2012. And I got offered a producer job for this like morning show they were doing. It was like a sports show. I forget what it was called, but it was because I was directing this YouTube channel in LA. So I flew there, I interviewed, they offered me the job. I hung out one night in New York and I was just like, I don't think I really vibe with this atmosphere, this like the city.
Sure.
And it was on the plane flight back where I drew up the original like That's Good Sports like logo.
Yeah.
So it's like I do think I can talk about sports in this space because not a lot of people are doing it. I was like, but I don't want to move to New York, wake up at 4:30 a.m. every morning to have this show go live by 6 a.m.
Yeah.
It just didn't. And if I did that, like my life would have been very different because Jess and I wouldn't have gotten married. Like my whole life would have been completely different.
We could have
But
lived
that was
together.
the flight back. I was like, I'm just going to start doing my own shit. And
Yeah.
I was like, if these people that run like a sports company that I respect offered me a job. Like, I felt like I was scamming them.
Yeah, you're like, I think less of you now. It's like, you're just allowing anybody you're allowing me to walk in here? Okay.
Like, do they know that I just like edit dick jokes? Like, is that? So I was like, well, maybe I can do it. But and then it took a while to actually like do anything. And then even then it's like experimenting, and the first like 10 shows we did, nobody watched. And then I just focused on the Broncos, and it kind of just, you find what you're good at talking about. But
yeah,
no, that was not the goal at all. Like, I think a lot of people are just like, this seems kind of fun. Let me try it for a while, see what happens. That was the approach. It was like, I knew YouTubers were having success, and I thought I could. But you don't know for sure. And even then, like you teaching while you did it, I was still editing and doing shit for other people for several years. And this didn't turn into like a full-time thing until we moved back to Colorado, till I had no other jobs going for me. And then Jess and I bought a house, and I was like, oh God, I have to start making money, or if anything happens to her job, we are screwed. So it's necessity. It's born out of necessity.
sure.
Nothing will motivate you like having responsibilities that you can't get out of.
Yeah. Like, I can't not have this house. Like, yeah. No,
and that's
I
the
get
whole thing with the space, right? Like, we're now competing against former athletes in the space, and they have a very different perspective and take than us. And I think they've been empowered to speak their minds and talk from a genuine point of view, which is like awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think it's right. It's that leg up, and they've earned that leg up. If they're former athletes, then they have put in a significant amount of work in a different space to make themselves successful, to get kind of a name brand, and then transition that to being successful in a different space, right? Whether it's broadcasting, podcast, whatever. And I think a lot of people on YouTube, or at least a lot of people that I know, like, they were just like, yeah, we just started making YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And like, we started talking about sports, and we just did it. And because we liked it. So we just continue doing it. And it's now, instead of competing against each other, which we're all still doing, right? We're still like competing in the same space, and sometimes for like the same sponsorships or opportunities or what have you. Then you throw in the fact that you have more of those athletes. They're not directly going to ESPN or Fox. They're going to YouTube.
Yeah.
They're starting things on YouTube. So it's a good thing because it gives more eyes to YouTube, right? So like Sauce Gardner is going and starting a YouTube channel. More people are going to go check out YouTube, and then maybe some people are going to stumble upon other creators. At the same time, it is more competition that you're having to deal with in terms of sponsors. Like, listen, I don't take sponsors, but I know many people who do. And so if a company goes, well, if I need to choose between sponsoring Sauce Gardner, who's a current NFL player, or Brandon Perna, it's a little tough to compete against. 100%.
Maybe. I mean, in one way, it definitely is. Like, no brand should choose me over like an active NFL player who's got a platform out there. But I think it's like there is a level of commitment that I think most people aren't willing to make.
Completely agree.
Try and succeed in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Its consistency is the biggest part of the game. So like, I don't even look at any of that as competition. It's more like diversity in the space, but it's like, I trust myself to keep working.
Sure.
Like, I can't work as hard as you. There's like a few people I look at and go, I can't keep up, but I can keep up with my own pace. Yeah. And that pace is just like, if you played in the NFL, you made a ton of money, you had success, what's really like fueling you in this space after you're done playing, or even while are you going to be posting videos 3 times a week, 4 times? Are you going to be making videos every fucking day? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Why is their channel big reason they're so successful? Every day, 3 hours, every single day. You mentioned his work ethic. If you want to admire him for one thing over anything else, it is that, because on top of that show, doing college game days, doing all those the wrestling shit,
WWE,
like, to me, like you and him have that in common where I'm like, those motherfuckers are crazy. I will never be able to be up until 3 a.m. finishing a video, sleep for 4 hours, come on, do this show, and then do an entire day. Like, you guys got that. But I don't think like a lot of former players are going to come in and
I
do
agree
that.
with that.
The Kelsey brothers do one show a week. It's clipped out. It's strategically like it's done really well. And I think their show is probably one of the best in the sports space right now because they're so good together. They have interesting conversations. They get great guests. Boom. But again, it's once a week, right? Like,
yeah. I think it's also a lot of these like big corporations. I don't think they get it still. I really don't. I think
it's hard to get
they
unless
get
you're
it.
living it.
Exactly. Like they look at the numbers and go, "Oh, those numbers are good. Here's the value that's attached to it." But with some creators, like one, those numbers could either be inflated or those numbers are not really representing. But like we've gotten to a point and in an age where it's not just, oh, they're getting a million views. It's true. They get a million views. When you, let's just say like ESPN is acquiring Pat McAfee, they're not just acquiring Pat McAfee, they're getting a community. And I think that that's very different from an audience.
Yeah.
And I think that that is one of the biggest things that a lot of these big companies don't understand yet. Because that's why there's some conflict right now. Because it's not just getting an audience of people going like, oh, there's a million people who watch the show and, you know, that's really good numbers. We can advertise crap to them, right? It's no, like these are communities that interact with the creator. They have like roles within the community, right? There's relationships that are within the community. And I think that that kind of stuff is incredibly not only powerful, but is often slept on and just not understood by people who are not in this space.
I think that just made me think, like, I didn't understand the backlash, but what you just said is probably there is a large amount of people who watch Pat's show so they don't have to watch ESPN.
Yes, exactly.
And now they have to go back
Correct.
to the place they were trying to get away from. Because
it was that alternative, right? I mean, that's the clip that's going viral right now from 2 years ago when Pat's going like, we were never an ESPN show. We're never going to be an FNS ESPN show. Right. And listen, things change. Like that's fine. Like I'm not even going to hold that because things change. Priorities change. You have a family. You have employees that you have to pay. Like I get it. I'm not faulting that.
Yeah.
Again, just be like, here's what it is, though.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, but that's the issue is that community who is now they're there for when they talked about COVID. They're there for when they talk about potential controversial stuff. They're there for the uncensored stuff. There's been a community built within that. I mean, like we know Billy Tubes, right? Like who literally is their like head moderator. That's a community there that is now either going to join Pat or at least, you know, something's going to happen with that community. And like you mentioned the live streaming on the YouTube, that is the biggest loss. Because if you're just putting clips there and you're anticipating that those members who are paying $1.99 to go and support your independent show, I don't think they're going to be spending $1.99 on ESPN. And I think that is arguably could be, and again, could be the biggest loss here is that community is going to just become an audience. And I think you lose something with that.
Yeah. No, like I had to learn that from you in terms of I didn't understand that how much people actually enjoy our shows. You know what I mean? To me, it always just felt like investing in the live aspect of it. Like I just didn't get why people would really want to hang out with me. You know what I mean? Like during a game.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Like it just like it was like an insecurity thing more than anything.
Sure. And
then like you learn that and you learn like this is a cool place to be. And just live streaming the XFL championship like last weekend.
Yeah.
I was like, I really enjoy doing this. It's a lot more fun to just
so much fun.
watching the game, interacting with people who are kind of experiencing the same emotions you're going through while it's happening. It takes a little bit to learn how to do that because there's so much happening. But I was like, fuck, I'm really excited for the football season to start because you get burnt out by the end of the season. And I didn't stream nearly a tenth of what you do, but it takes its toll on you because it's a high energy effort thing. But I was like, man, I do miss doing this. And the whole big part of that is like engaging and interacting with everybody who's watching it with you. And if that gets a little bit detached from their show, then that's probably, a big negative that could come with this.
Yeah, that in my opinion would be the biggest loss because people have asked. They're like, oh, if like the Packers came calling or like an ESPN, they're like, would you do that? I said, no. Like I'll guest on stuff. Like that's cool. But this now, congrats. But this now, like you don't give that up. Like if I couldn't stream Packers games, I'm not interested. If I can't stream like Sunday Night Football, like we talked about this and I know it was really funny, but like I streamed every effing primetime game last year, right?
Yeah.
So Sunday, Monday, Thursday, and then any other random day, Saturday that they were on. That was an active choice. And yes, is it exhausting to watch like the Panthers and Falcons on Thursday Night Football because it was not as good as their overtime game? Yes. Like when you have two really bad teams, is it like, oh my God, this is kind of painful? Absolutely. But it is so much effing fun. And I wouldn't do it if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I would rather keep on doing that than anything else because why not? Like it's just so much. There's so much of that interaction and you get to like truly know people through this space because the same people who were watching when there was only 10 people watching, a lot of them are still here. And that's like Friday night Q&As tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Friday night Q&As, like I get anywhere between like 400 to like 700 people in there, but it's usually like the same crew. And so that crew is there every single Friday or nearly every Friday. They're there for almost every game stream that they can be. And you get to know hundreds and hundreds of people. Yeah. And like, that's how you build a community. And like, there's an investment. It's not even the money. It's like, there's investment on like the time and energy. It's like, hey, I'm going to put into it because they're putting it into it. And like, let's rock and roll. That's it.
Yeah. Like one of the coolest things I've witnessed is the Patreon hangouts we do every month.
Yeah.
It's like, I honestly feel like I don't even need to be there anymore because it's more just about all of us hanging out together. Right. It's like everybody knows each other in there now. We all like hearing what's going on with each other. And it's just like, anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 friends hanging out.
I absolutely can say that. I would turn down $120 million from ESPN. Easy.
Oh, I would take the $120 million instantly.
Yeah, Perna will go. That's fine. Yeah, Perna can go.
Let it be very clear here. I will sell out in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'd rather. Yeah, no, I don't want to.
Here's the question. I don't think it's like that because he had $120 million from fans.
Yeah.
So like, if I were in the same position, and I think this is what Tom's saying. Let's say we had a sponsor for this show. Sure. That's paying us multiple millions of dollars every year. And we had an opportunity to make more money and also possibly expand our reach because the ESPN will get him in front of more people. Like, Don't make a mistake about that. I think Tom and I both 100% have no interest in going to a network to get in front of more people.
No.
If we're crushing it on our own that way. It's not even a knock saying like he shouldn't do what he's doing.
Sure.
But,
I think it depends on what it is. If you listen, let's be very honest here. This is an awesome move for Pat McAfee personally. He's going to get more money. He's going to get, and he was talking about this. Half the time he doesn't have to set crap up anymore. Right? Like they could do road shows and ESPN is the one footing the bill and they're the ones who are going to do it. They don't have to worry about mics not working. And listen, as Perna and I can attest to, that is worth a lot. If you could just show up and be the talent, that's really, if you don't have to book guests and it's done for you, that is worth a lot. Yeah. And even it's more than money. It's just time and energy and stress and effort. But at the same time, those things come with a cost, and we'll see how much of a cost that is.
Yeah, Tom and I talk all the time like we want to have more guests on the show. And guess what? We both get too busy to do it during and it's not like it's super hard, but it's just one more thing. And it's like, oh man, we should have had Cole on today to talk about this.
Sure.
Would have been great to have another YouTube, but we didn't even know we were going to go down this road, today.
Yeah. Which makes it which is one of the reasons I love the show. But I think at the end, you and I both agree, like the network thing, it just doesn't make sense. And I gotta be very honest, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. Like if you're after doing it for so long, you mentioned the fact of, oh, like you were putting out ideas and you're like, we can make the show better. And it's not even like a cocky narcissist, like, oh, I know what's best. It's like, no, like this could help the show. Like maybe we should try something a little bit different. Instead, it's just like you get to do whatever you want. Like I can make weird ass stuff. We can talk about dumb things. Like it's great.
Yeah.
Jared, happy birthday. It like that for me is truly, and I mean it, priceless. So if a company literally, like if the Green Bay Packers said, hey, Tom, we want you to be our official broadcaster and do, no, thank you. Legitimately. And I love the Green Bay Packers so effing much. It's why I started this. But no, there's just.
It would be nice not to worry about my basement flooding.
Also,
flooding my office, as I might call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's great power in being able to do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Even if that's the thing, if you're succeeding doing it, and the process, your day-to-day makes you happy, what you trade that for becomes more and more important. You know what I mean? Like 8 years ago, if you would have said, there's an opportunity to go to ESPN, you're going to take it, I'd be like, of course.
Of course.
But I needed it then.
Yeah.
You and I don't need that now. And don't get me wrong, ESPN could change our lives with money.
100%.
But it's not the right spot for what we're doing until like a company like that evolves. It would have to be a correct company where there's a fit. And then you ask yourself, is it worth having a boss? Is it worth having to listen to someone ever for any reason?
No.
That is a tough one to give up.
Yeah, no, I can tell you no. Like
really
it's just no. Because I think once you said it and you hit the nail on the head, and like I'm super proud of you because you saw a company that you were like looking up to and they offered you a job and you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, what if I could just do it better? And you did. And I'm not saying like you're not Bleacher Report, but you legitimately you weren't an athlete, right? You had editing skills, but you didn't have a community, you didn't have a following, you didn't have an audience.
No.
And you literally said, okay, there's nothing here. I'm going to get to a point where now I can afford a house. I can afford to have a kid. I can afford a lifestyle because of something that I built from nothing into something. And like, that's effing awesome. Like you did that. And of course you got help, but like you did that. There was nothing, and now there's something, and that something supports you and your family. Like
my shit got better once Will Keys joined me. Like, there's, I think, great power in collaborating. But yeah, it started from nothing, and then you work, and then you got an opportunity. I got an opportunity to have somebody help me in an area that I wasn't as strong as I wanted to be, which was writing. Like I can write, but I can write a lot better with Will.
Sure.
And that's when videos started to get better and better and better. And so like doing it that way is fun. And one reason like I want to grow like this show and take it to another level is to provide opportunity and empower people like Will and Johnny who are doing the grunt work sometimes.
Sure.
And give them opportunities to make more money and have more opportunities. And I think like when a show like Pat does go to ESPN, I'm sure there's a part of him thinking about how that can help take care of his crew and all the people doing it, because it is 120 million from FanDuel, right? But that's not just going to Pat. That's going to the show. That's going to Pat. So maybe Pat can make more money and everybody working for him can make more money.
Renting the space, like
exactly.
All that,
And that's a tougher thing to figure out if you are navigating and doing this stuff on your own until you get to a place where you're like, like Mr. Beast or something,
Sure.
which we're not even close to that level. But
No.
it becomes making sure you take those people with you as you try and
course.
get better at what you're doing.
Yeah. That's it.
But we just got navigated so hard today.
We navigated so hard today. We navigated so hard. Speaking of navigating, what do you got coming out today, Brandon Perna?
Good video today. Not like that normal shit I peddle. Who is worse, the 0-16 Browns or the 0-16 Lions?
Ooh!
Johnny Barks coming in clutch on this one, as was Will Keys.
Let's go. I like that. I gotta go do my lawn. Right after this, then I gotta go to my PO box, and then I gotta go pick up dog food. I'm gonna try to get it. I've been knocking out these fan reaction videos because, like, I just need to get them done, especially before I leave. So yeah, Texans one might come out today. If not, I'll try to get it out probably on Sunday. But yeah, I got big announcements coming next week for 30 at 30 about like fan events and like what collaborators I'm gonna be working with and all that great stuff. So super excited about that. And then yeah, tonight Q&A.
And we won't be here Monday or Wednesday because I'm gonna be out of town.
Yes, Brandon Perna is gonna leave us.
That's
and
right.
then we're gonna have one last GPS when we're together on Friday.
I'm out of town and I will be talking to ESPN.
Bye, Brandon. Oh wait, so you're gonna be in my area? Can we hang out now?
Just kidding.
Oh.
No, I'm going West Coast.
Oh.
Be in San
Japan?
Diego.
Oh, yeah. San Diego. All right. Well, folks, we appreciate you. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. What was your last message?
Sorry.
Hold on.
I'm going to partner my show with Taxi Cab Confessions.
Hold on. I could go. Wait, hold on. I could go on the Star thing and now, like,
That's
go back.
Good Sports partners with
here we go.
HBO's Real Sex.
Michigan Panthers? Who the hell are the Michigan Panthers? I don't even know who
USFL Michigan Panthers.
Does Jay Sternberger play on that team?
I don't know.
Well, if he is on your team, Jay Sternberger's cool.
Oops, sorry. I didn't.
That's all I got. Here's a good thing about Panthers. They won in hockey last night.
Go Panthers.
4 overtime. I was watching. Hockey's awesome. All right. Thanks for watching. Tom Grossi, Brandon Perna, GPS. You've been navigating.